Hello friends and YouTube family. This is Pat from Rain Country Homestead. Work on that bowl I was telling you about. I have it mounted on the bowl plate, and so this is dried. This piece of shop cloth is in here, so when I get done with the project I can separate the finished product from the bowl plate, but this allows me to come in here and hollow this out on the inside for a finished bowl. On the back side of this lathe here, there's a hole. There's a shaft that runs clear through the headstock here, and so then to knock this piece out of here, you have to hit it with a rod to tap it out. Store that underneath the machine. Now I can just spin my bowl plate on here. Force your machine rotating will keep this tight enough when you're tooling. When you're actually turning a bowl, the pressure runs against the threads here, so you don't have to tighten this up. It'll tighten up on its own. But when you go to take it apart, you're going to need to have a big wrench here to cut that loose when you separate your bowl from your paper backing there. We put a tool rest on. When you're tooling, when you're resting your tool on here, it should just be below center of your workpiece here. You want to roll this around. Make sure none of it strikes your tool rest. Lock that down tight. Now we're ready to turn. I'll move the tailstock out of the way. Now, if you don't know a whole lot about bowl turning, this is the tool that you generally start off with. It's a little more huskier, robust, tool, and I always like to keep a real sharp edge on the edge. If you use this for just a little bit, you're going to find out, if you've turned a lot of bowls, that just that little tiny edge on there where you can kind of feel it curling over there when you sharpen it really makes a difference when you're cutting. When you first start turning a bowl, you're going to want to start at a little bit lower speed. It's kind of like balancing a tire on a car. If you lose a wheel weight, the faster you go, the more the thing bounces and carries on, and that's when you start having stuff fly apart on you, and your work degrades from there. So when you're first starting out, when you're first starting to turn, when you get this thing fairly around, that's kind of when you're supposed to be picking up your speed. This is a variable speed little Powermatic. When you're not quite round yet, because if you look at above the bowl here, you can just see a little haze, and it's kind of skipping along. Kind of still see voids in the top of the bowl. As you look at the horizon over here, you can really see that it's not quite round yet, and just also by the sound of the material coming off there, it's kind of a chatter. It's not quite round yet, so I just rest my finger in here, rest the tool on top of the tool rest, keep good hold on this, don't let up on it, because what might happen is if you get in there too close, that might slip up and hit you in the chin or something. You're going to ruin your project. As the bowl gets more round all the time, and if it gets a little more balanced, you can pick up a little speed as you're going along. I'm at the point where I like to use my favorite tool, and that's one of these little guys here. A couple different sizes I have. That's a 5/8 and a 1/2 inch. I really like these for doing most of my work. Tool rest as close as you can to the work. That will help limit your chances of the tool actually getting leverage. See, the farther you go in there, the tool will have a tendency to want to grab and and run up like that. You'll see that more as we get into hollowing this thing out. So work on the outside first so we get our outside shape, and then as we get into the center of the bowl, you're going to notice that there's going to be a lot more grabbing, but there's ways to minimize that with different tool rests. This is a smaller tool rest. This can actually fit inside the bowl a little bit better, and I'll show you how to do that here in just a minute. This tool here gets to where you can get in there and make your corner, get to the bottom of the bowl. If you're making a round bowl, or if you just kind of may want to make a stancher, you'd stay with a little bit rounder tool like this one. But I want to make the bowl to where the bottom of it just kind of disappears. You know, it comes in flat with the surface it's going to sit on. That's where you start cutting into your sacrificial piece of wood here. Again, I try to maintain a sharp tool that cuts better, less grabbing, less chattering. Remember is not to get too close to your fasteners in here. So I always want to be mindful of how deep those are. Right here I have 1-inch fasteners on the backside, the sacrificial piece of block here. And notice how well that holds on there. I mean, you have a lot of surface area back here, and it holds really well. This little tool is called a separating tool, but it can be used for other things. I don't know if you noticed, but I was coming in with the side of the tool against the material. It makes a pretty good smooth surface. These are just normal drying cracks in here. Just a defect on the bowl, but that's just another one of those things that adds to it. And once to shine all this up, this will almost look three-dimensional in here. And this is all this will be sanded out. And I'll do a little bit more work, and then I'll move to the front of the bowl. I'll get you a close-up here where you can kind of see a little bit what's going on up close. Try to keep the tool rest as close to our work as we can, but as you can see, our distance is a little bit affected by that radius of that bowl on the inside. So we do the best we can with what we got, but just got to keep it as close as you can. Well, does anybody remember what these things are? Yeah, old-timer type of measuring device, huh? Old ruler. Anyway, when I'm checking the depths on these things, I want to make sure that I don't go so deep that I affect the integrity of the bottom of the bowl. I've done that before. And when I'm measuring, I know to look at basically the horizon, line my eyesight up between the front edge of this bowl and then the back edge of the bowl. And when the two merge as one, you start your eyesight out at an angle, and then you just keep looking this way. And then when the back side of the bowl lines up with the front side of the bowl and the eyesight, then I can measure in to my deepest point in the bowl. And right now I'm at 1 7/8 inches deep, and I know I can go on the outside again and again line up the front edge with the back edge, line of sight, set the rule up here, and I know I've got about maybe a 1/2 inch, 5/8 of an inch of depth before I'm in danger back here. And I just go by feel on the thickness of the bowl. I can just kind of go by the feel of how thick that is how much material I can remove from inside here. Now I'm just checking the thickness, make sure I'm not getting carried away here. I think I might take this down just a little bit more on the outside to make these little cracks disappear a little bit better. So I won't remove too much more on the inside at this point. We have a little bit of a defect back here that might infect the integrity of it, which is these little cracks here. They're just natural from drying. It doesn't hurt the bowl any, but I'm afraid if I go really super duper thin, it might come apart on me. So you know, when I'm in here working in this, hollowing this out in here, I'll be really careful with my tool, because I'm really extended off of the tool rest, you know, maybe as much as a couple inches there. I don't know if you can see it very well, but really extended out there, so I'm really got a good tight hold on my tool, and I'm just barely taking off material on the inside of this thing. So now what I got to do is I'm going to take a tool rest off, I'm going to remove the bowl, I'm going to put it on the back side of the machine. There's a place where I can put the bowl, and then I'm going to sand it up. Okay, now I'm at the point the last sandpaper I used on this was 320, and now I'm fixing to put a finish on it, and I like to use tree wax. It's a natural thing. And some people can put a stain on there if you'd like. You'll notice this is kind of a simple bowl. It's just got a round shape to it. Reason for that is I didn't want to really take away from the beauty of the wood. You know, the wood just has a lot of character to it. So I'm just going to put a natural wax on here. I got the finish on there. Now it's time to remove the bowl from the bowl plate. Let's keep working that around. Go on the opposite side. There you have it. So I just have to clean up the bottom of this. And how I do that is just with a sander. That'll clean that right up. I just get a palm sander and sand those off. You can see little pieces of paper left on there. Usually it'll tear off on the paper right there off the, between the paper and that sacrificial block. This time it came right out. The blocks stripped off of there. So now we just have to sand it down.